Welcome to the Pursuers of Peak Performance podcast, the podcast for PTs and fitness business owners to produce more. The pursuit of peak performance is an ongoing process to produce next level results in every aspect. The purpose of this podcast is to share the processes and procedures that peak performers use to produce more. My name is Cody McAuliffe, and I'm the founder of the Pursuers of Peak Performance podcast. I see the proverbial bar of the standards within the fitness industry is way too low. My purpose and my passion is to raise that bar so that the fitness industry can live up to its potential. Let's get into the episode. Hi guys, welcome to today's episode. Today we have an amazing guest in Ben Carvosso. Ben Carvosso has a wealth of experience in a variety of industries. He had his own chiropractic practice, his own radiology practice, lots of different experiences, as well as being a high performance coach, which is what he's focusing on currently. Throughout the interview, there are a lot of just complete, absolute light bulb moments and extremely important distinctions that he discusses in terms of the importance of language, how certainty creates unhappiness and novelty compared to growth, and the mistakes that people make around these distinctions. He very much just exudes passion and wisdom all the way through the interview. We split it up into two parts because we went through so much information. It was so good that we just continually went on and got him to share his wisdom. Some of the key things that he talks about is we're not trying to switch off in life. We're not trying to switch off from our job. We're just changing what we're switching on to. If we're trying to switch off from work when we're with our family, then we're switching off. It's an inaccurate frame of reference. What we want to do is we want to switch from being on at work to being on at home in our family life, to being on in our health. This is like an absolutely game-changing distinction that he came up with, that he shared with us as well. He talks about the distinctions between friendtors and mentors, all of these things that we talked about, which are absolutely game-changing. I'm extremely looking forward to sharing this with you guys. And we split up into two episodes, so be sure to listen to the other one as well. This is absolutely amazing information, and I'm so glad to be able to share it with you guys. So let's get straight into the episode. All right, so today's guest is Dr. Ben Carvosso. Thanks for joining us today, Ben.
Hey, pleasure, Cody.
Do you mind giving us a little bit of a background about, your history and what it is that you do?
Wow, bit of a long history. So I graduated as a chiropractor, whatever that, 26 or so years ago, and went out and bought my first practice when I was 23-ish years of age. In fact, I bought that practice 6 weeks before I graduated. So just quietly between you and I practiced for 6 weeks without a license. And don't tell a rego board. We should delete that, actually. Leave it in.
We can cut that out.
Practice without a license. Bought that practice, practiced for 14 years or so, and then had a cool experience where I fell out of a palm tree, smashed my left foot into thousands of pieces, had some time off, and a mate tapped me on the shoulder. He said, "Mate, you know about taking x-rays. Do you want to work with me and we'll open a radiology practice?" So that started my journey into radiology. Spent the next 7 years building up 4 radiology practices. Then sold those, moved back to the Mornington Peninsula, opened up another chiropractic centre. And around that same time, just as I sold the practices, someone called me and asked me to give them some advice about running radiology. And my wife for years has been saying to me, "Ben, stop giving your advice for free. Stop doing it. You've spent years accumulating this wisdom in business and personal development. Stop doing it for free." So this person on the phone, I said, "Great, happy to catch up. Probably need a couple of hours. We could do it Monday, and I'm $150 an hour." He said, "Great, I'll see you Monday." And I hung up, went straight into Michelle, said, "Guess what? Someone's willing to pay me." She said, "I told you." So that started my coaching career, which started just over 4 years ago. And for the last 4 years, I own and run a chiropractic centre, but have been coaching.
Yeah, okay, cool. Who is it that you normally work with in terms of your coaching?
Who do I work with?
Yeah.
So entrepreneurs, small business owners, some CEO or C-suite executives. I don't give them the KPI stuff. I don't give them the, what do you need to do? I don't do how do you need to market or how do you need to do HR. I give them the mindset to get the stuff done. You know how we've all read a book, we go, "That's a great idea, I should do that," but we never do it.
Yeah.
Because we haven't got the mindset. So I help these guys get the mindset around getting stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So the name of the podcast is Pursuers of Peak Performance. So it's very much aligned with that concept as well. And one of the very primary pillar of that is mindset. So 100% agree with that being the foundation of everything. In terms of, I guess, mindset and working on someone's mindset, where do you start with that?
Well, I have a 5-step process that I take my clients through. Having said that, we start wherever I think they need the work in the 5-step process. But traditionally, we start at the first P, which is we work on purpose, getting them reconnected with what's important. So many become detached with what's important. So instead of doing their life's work, they find themselves doing their busy work. They're running around being busy, getting lots of stuff done, but it's not stuff that leads to fulfillment. I love that word eudaimonia. It means human flourishing. And when you've got eudaimonia, you're in a state of joy because you feel fulfilled versus happy. You and I can be happy at any moment, but that's different to being fulfilled. Yeah. And so often my clients come to me and they're doing their busy work, not their life's work. So we start back with purpose. We start them doing what they really want to do, not what they should do. So many of us get should on. We get should on by our parents, by our peers, by our partners, by our work colleagues. You should do this. And we go, yeah, I should do that. And so we go off and do it in the should. It's hard work because we're not truly connected with it. And even if we do the hard work and get the should, it doesn't feel good because it's not connected with purpose. So I move them away straight away because many come arriving just covered in should, right? We get them away from should and back doing what they really want. So that's where I'd mostly start. I'd start them getting connected with purpose.
Yeah, okay, cool. In terms of going into more detail about the should frame of reference, like I see it every single day. I should be doing this to grow my business. I should be doing that. When ultimately they're not doing that, then they start to create, I guess, that almost that guilt cycle of not following through on things that they should be doing. How do you help people step back from that and be able to overcome, I guess, shooting everywhere and not following through with that?
I reckon it starts first with purpose. Why do you really want to do it? I was just coaching a client before this call, and one of the conversations we had around was the concept of, I call it chunking up, getting to why, right? So we start with, in this case, we're talking about his business. And I said, what's one of the things that are important for you? He said, well, we've got to make money. I said, I agree. If you're in business and you're not making money, stop, or soon the business will stop whether you like it or not, right? Yeah. One of the main reasons for your people listening, if they're in business, is to make money. Don't beat around the bush. Don't be, ashamed to say it, but you got to make money, guys, right? So, but why? So I said to him, why? And he goes, well, so I can pay the bills. Well, why do you want to pay the bills? Well, and on it went. This whole chunking up was getting connected with why are we doing the thing? If you're doing a marketing plan, someone said you should do some Facebook marketing. I would say why? And we would chunk it right up until they get completely connected with the reason why they're doing it. And if it ends up connected with their life purpose, well then let's do the thing. Often though, people are doing something and they don't have a clear plan around why they need to do it. So the second P for me is we take purpose and then we create some really clear plans with clients, some real clear structure. It's the example I give around my 5 Ps is we built a house some years ago and we started for probably 6 to 12 months just looking at magazines and getting excited. What was the purpose of the house? We wanted a place where the family could come and where the kids could bring their friends. And why do we want that? Because we want to have influence our kids' friends. And so we started with purpose. Then we took that, went to an architect and said, now draw up the plans. Take this purpose and create some plans around it. Not just the physical plans of the house, but the structure around when the carpenter needs to come in and when the next step needs to be done, right? So we create some plans. Then we looked at, well, what's the personality? Who do we need to be as, well, in this case, I was the owner builder. And what kind of tradesman do we want? What personality do we want this project to have, right? The third P. And then lastly, it was then productive. It was taking the assets of time, money, energy, and some sanity and deploying those assets into productivity. But most people start with productivity. They just try and get productive without having set clear intentions on who they need to be, their personality, their ethos, their culture, or having clear plans. That makes sense? Did I answer the question? I think I did.
Yeah, 100%. It's very important just to go through that specific process. As everyone that I talk to as well, in terms of any business coaching that I do, they're like, right, what do I need to do to get where I want to be, rather than understanding the process that needs to go before that. Like, well, if you don't start with the goal or anything like that, or the mindset, then it's just going to be strategies that are going to get more or less of the same result. It's going to be like, all right, well, you might get like a little bit of extra results here, but it's just going to get back to whatever your comfort zone is, rather than going through that process of determining, I guess, your mindset, what the goal is, and then going through that process of the person who you need to be able to determine that process. So it very much makes sense in terms of doing that. It's very much how I coach people as well.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, I guess, working with people, what do you find the biggest limitation is when someone comes to you and they want to enlist your services?
I think part of it is they become disconnected from purpose, and sometimes the reason for that is it's been driven by fear. Yeah. We often get in a situation where we think the more certainty I can get in my life, the more known, the more I can take control of my life, the happier I'm going to be. Not true. The more control, the more certain you are, the less happy you are. The key to more certainty in life is more uncertainty, because every time you step from the place of the known into the unknown, your known grows. Into the next unknown, your known grows. And so with clients, they've stopped stepping into the unknown. So what they're doing now is novelty, not growth. So, they'll go to the movies. It's a good time, go to the movies, have a good time, but you come out and the world's no better. You go out for dinner, have a few wines, have a nice meal. It's a great time. The next morning you wake up, no better. You go out and do some Tinder action. It's a good night. You come home the next morning, no better. We do this novelty rather than true growth, rather than take on true challenges. So many of them have come and they arrive and their lives are good. It appears nice, but that's all it is. They've stopped experiencing what I call the turned on life. And instead they're in the tepid life, like a tepid cup of tea.
Yeah.
It sucks, right? It's drinkable, but you want an ice cold tea or a nice hot cup of tea, not a tepid tea. These guys are living tepid lives, and people on the outside look at them and go, man, he's got a good car, his wife seems pretty nice, and, he seems his house, his business seems to be doing pretty well, and it is all good, but it's not amazing. They've stopped experiencing that pitter-patter that goes with true challenge and true growth. I would say that many of my clients arrive in the tepid life. Now, some arrive in the stuck life, where they're doing the same thing over and over again and wishing they could do something else, and they're so stuck. It's like the picture I have in my mind. It's like when they first put an animal in the cage, and they're pacing back and forth, and they're snarling and growling and rattling the cage, and they're pissed off and they're blaming and they're making excuses and saying, those people out there, if only they knew my situation. And the reason I'm here, by the way, is because of this is going on in my life. They're stuck. They're often angry. They're frustrated. They're doing busyness, but life sucks. Or they're like the animal that's been in the cage for ages, and they arrive and they're at the back of the cage, just sucking their thumb, rocking. And these guys are doing tired. They're doing overwhelm. They're doing depression. They're doing escaping. And they're stuck. Now, the challenge for these guys is that the way out of the cage is for something to come out of them or for something to come into their life. And usually they arrive in my coaching practice because something has come into their life. A divorce, the loss of money, the loss of health, a career change. Something's come into their life that's forced some sort of shift, and they're going, oh shit, I've got a shift. And they recognize they need help to make the shift. So they arrive, and we help them shift out of the stuck, through the tepid, and into the turned on, where they start taking on true challenges and their heart starts to race again but they're smiling at the same time. That's the work that you do. You know, that's the work that I do as we do as coaches. Is we help people, and often we hope that we help them bring the good out of them before something comes into their life. Yeah, we recognise that everyone's got the resources they need. We just need to tap it and bring it out, unleash the greatness that's within. So, in answer to your question, I have two kind of clients that arrive. Often they're in tepid, or they're in stuck. And usually because they've stopped experiencing that heart race and the smile. They've stopped taking on challenges, and instead they're doing just novelty.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I think a lot of people associate that, I guess, certainty in life as what their happy state is, when ultimately it's not the reality of the situation. When they're in more of, I guess, a flow and consistent learning, then they're going to be much more open to that rather than having that certainty. Because when we have that level of uncertainty and that opportunity for anything else that is out there, then we feel so much better about us, and then we're so much more open to everything else as well. So 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, you and your business, it's called the on button. Can you explain that to me? I think you kind of touched on it a little bit there of how that came about as well.
Yeah, it's about experiencing the turned on life. It's about being on. You know, sometimes clients say to me, "Oh, man, I just need to be able to switch off from work, and so as I can, you know, spend time with my family." I go, no, don't switch off. Switch on to your family, or switch on to your health. Switch on to your relationship. Get more on. Don't start trying to get off. The key is, though, to be on with what's really important. The picture I have in my mind, and I don't know, there's got to be a movie out there that had it, right? But they get the guy and they tie the rope to his arms and his legs, and they have 4 horses, and they pull in all sorts of different directions. Right? Some people's lives are like that, where their career's going this way and their relationship's going that way, and their money's going this way and their health is going this way. They're doing their busy work, feeling like they're pulled in all the directions, and they're trying to do work-life balance. It's a myth. You know, just trying to constantly, I'm trying to balance how much work should I do and how much life should I do? No, stop doing that. Do your life's work. That's when your money, your health, your relationships, your career, it's all heading in the same direction. That's the on life. So you're on doing health. At the same time, you're on doing your career and you're on making money. It's all heading in the same direction. So that's where the on button came from.
Yeah, okay, cool. I guess then that's a really important distinction that I haven't heard before in terms of focusing on the on rather than that switching off. So that's awesome to be able to have, I guess, that frame of reference and that language to be able to help people move and focus on the things that they want. I guess then in terms of utilizing language like that, how important is using language, I guess, to, talk into existence what people want?
Say that last bit again.
How important is language to, I guess, talk into existence what people want? So like in the example that you just gave was, it's like, we don't focus on turning off, we focus on turning on the thing that's in front of you and that's important to you right now. How important is it making those distinctions?
Wow, language is so important. Like, it's everything. You know, I often say to clients, say the F word as much as you like, but watch your language. We just need to watch our language. You know, I just don't know why stuff doesn't work out for me. I don't know why my life sucks. And I just don't know why I can't make that happen. And, you know, why is it that every time I do that, it just doesn't work out? That's crap language, right? Versus language of, how could my life be better? I wonder what the solution is. I'm curious, what's the next step for me? How could this be even better? I had a coaching client just I saw before, and there was a bit of a relationship kind of challenge. He was about to go away for a weekend, take his team away. And the partner was feeling a little challenged around that. And I said to him, I wonder, in the next 24 hours before you go, how could you make you going away amazing for your partner? That's good language. That's great questions. Not how could you just get through it, right, and come back and the relationship's still intact. No, how could it be amazing because you went away? language is so, so important. I recently spoke to a group of 250 or so year 12 kids, and just need to make sure I don't identify maybe, but I saw these year 12 kids being spoken to by a senior person in the school, and it was one of the most uninspiring things I've heard. And I thought, these guys are about to sit VCE exams. These guys need to be inspired. So I asked the school if I could come and speak, and they said, yeah, sure. I said, look, I need at least an hour. They said, we can't give you an hour, we'll give you 30 minutes. I said, well, can you give me 2 lots of 30 minutes? So I had 30 minutes one week and 30 minutes the next week. I did my first 30 minutes, and I was coming back for my second 30, and I emailed the school and said, look, this last 30 minutes, is there anything specifically you want me to, to address? Is there anything that came up from last time? They said, oh, we'd love you to talk on some meditation and relaxation techniques.
Okay.
I went, no. These kids don't need to relax. These kids need to fire up. These kids are sitting there freaked out. They need to take that freaked out energy and turn it into fired up energy. Language is important. And I showed the beginning, you've probably seen it, the Braveheart movie, right? You know that scene where the British army is kind of coming over the hill, and as far as you can see, there's this English army, right? And then there's the Scots and the tribesmen all lined up, and they start to panic, and some of them start to flee. And William Wallace comes riding down, he's got all that face paint on, and he parades up and down on his horse, and he fires them up to go to battle. He doesn't sit them down and say, okay, relax now. Let's go into a meditative state. These kids need to go into battle. Yeah? They need to fire up, not get freaked out. Language is so important in every aspect of our life.
Yeah, cool. 100% agree with that. In terms of that, like, it very much seems like this is something that I tend to notice as well. As soon as someone comes to me with something, I tend to lean almost in the opposite direction, because they're coming from their frame of reference of, we need to get these kids to relax, when the reality of the situation is they're about to go and do something where being highly stimulated would be beneficial. Do you do that at all with your clients, or do you find anyone else that does that at all? Or
yeah, sometimes we have this chronic cortisol, adrenaline due to fear. Yeah. And it's unresourceful in chronic levels. Just 24/7, we've got this cortisol flowing through our system. It's just bad news, as we all know, right? But adrenaline and cortisol in a short burst, it's powerful. It makes me stronger, it makes me faster, it makes me more flexible, it makes me think better, it makes me see opportunity. We need to harness that adrenaline and use it for positive. So yeah, well, I often use that with clients in, let's get that heart racing, yeah, and take action. But a heart racing without action, just it's stifling. It's poison. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I guess then what happens when people have that aroused state and then they don't take action, and they start to get into, I guess, very much that guilt frame of reference. Oh, I didn't take the action. I did everything that I needed to, but that final step wasn't there. How do you work with people in terms of that?
That's why people need a champion. They need to surround themselves with friends that champion them. I often talk about the difference between a mentor versus a friendtor. Yeah, so when you're in strife and life sucks and you didn't follow through, you ring your mate and go, mate, it sucks. I didn't get that thing done. And your mate says, oh, yeah, that's crap, man. Let's go down the pub and let's have a beer. I'll buy you a beer. And they go down the beer and they slap each other on the back and tell each other that they're okay and that the world sucks and it's not their fault, right? That's a friendtor. And we need those guys at times, right? It's a bit of fun. But you need mentors, because you ring the mentor and he goes, man, that's no good. I wonder how you could do better next time. How was it that you didn't follow through? How is it that you're responsible? And man, how can I help? What could I do? How can I help you get through this? How can I champion you? How can I give you some accountability? We need mentors in our life. They talk about, you take your 5 closest friends and you take the average of their money, and it's yours. You take the average of their relationship, and that's your relationship. Take the average of their health, and that's your health. That research is clear out there. I wrote it in my new book. There is so much research out there that the people that you hang out with, you become. Surround yourself with better people. So when the going does get tough, you've got someone to call on to champion you through. We're not supposed to do this alone. And whether it's your intimate partner, whether it's a work colleague, whether it's a friend, but you've got someone that can go, come on, man, you got it. I know that when I used to catch up with my personal trainer, mate, the weight I lift with him, it's 3, 4, 5 times the weight I would lift if I was by myself, right? When we go for a run, mate, he makes me run way faster than I would ever run if I was by myself. You need someone to champion you. And that's why, again, I think coaches are so important. They're not a coach because your life sucks. They're a coach to help you become amazing, to perform, to have a turned-on life. Whether that is a personal trainer coach, whether it is a business coach, whether it is a relationships coach, you've got someone to champion you to move through.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And I think it's very much about moving from monologue to dialogue. If it's just monologue and it's just us talking to ourselves about it, then it's very much, we've got that limited perspective. As soon as then we go to the friendtor, then we can either get to a point where we expand, or we only get that little expansion by sharing that, and then moving it to that third level that you talked about of working with a mentor or a coach to be able to expand it beyond that and look to the future. What is the learning experience that we got from this? How can we optimize this going forward so that we can get even more results from this experience? And it's understanding that ultimately we want to create, I guess, systems and relationships within our life where we're consistently going to that person that is going to expand our capacity, expand everything that we do in terms of having that mentor to push us forward, rather than going to either just having it within ourselves in that monologue, or that dialogue even just with someone who's just going to agree with us rather than pull us up from that situation. Do you find that as well?
That's so good. I love that, monologue and dialogue.
Yeah.
I'm pinching that. That's really cool.
Don't worry, I took it as well, so I can't claim it. So
I love that. I think it's so important that we have an opportunity. Albert Einstein, I'm going to get the quote wrong, but he said something like, we can't solve today's problems with today's thinking, right? It's tomorrow's thinking that solves today's problems. So as a coach, as a mentor, and as a great friend that's willing to champion our friend or our partner, they cause us to move into tomorrow's thinking so we can reflect and look at today's problem. Today's problems can't be solved with today's thinking. Yeah. So that probably sums it up for me.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the quote that I first heard with it as well. It's linking those things, because if you're in that monologue in your own thinking, then that's what actually created that problem. You're at source in that situation. So to be able to move forward, we can stay in monologue and still move forward. However, it's so much harder and so much slower a process, where if we were just to instantly go to that dialogue and get some kind of outside perspective, then we've got that different level of thinking, exactly like Albert Einstein says, to be able to dramatically move forward as well. So I think that's one of the key things in pursuing peak performance, which is very much what this podcast is about. What do you think are the key components of, I guess, pursuing peak performance? So you're like a high performance coach, so you're like very much someone who knows 100% about this. So what are your thoughts on the components of that?
Most importantly, connect with purpose. Why you're doing it. And then this it can sometimes sound weird, but take it personally. Get fully immersed. Attach who you are to the thing. And I reckon that's okay if it's connected with purpose, right? But if you're connecting yourself to something that is in alignment with being fulfilled, that isn't part of your life's purpose, then that's going to feel weird and awkward. And if you've connected with it and it doesn't work out, that can suck. But you look at any high performance athlete, when they get on the field, their success on the field is connected with who they are as a person. So often we've said, no, don't take it personally, whether you win or lose, doesn't really matter. No, I think high performance people, they take it personally. Yeah, but it is always connected with their higher purpose. Yeah, there's some real clarity around that. I think secondly, they get immersed. They get totally immersed in whatever they're doing. Yeah, my wife often calls me the fad man, right? So last year I started doing triathlons. So
Yes.
I got the bike and I got the wetsuit. There were triathlon magazines around the house. I was YouTubing triathlons. I got the bloody the body glide and the chamois cream, and I got totally immersed in the thing. I think high performers get totally immersed. They talk about it. They think about it. They read about it. They watch about it. They surround themselves. They find themselves mentors that are doing it. I think that's so important when you want to do high performance, is there's got to be someone out there that's done it. Someone else there that's got a system or a strategy. Just last week I was with my personal trainer and he had me doing these deadlifts and he kept loading the weight, right? And I got to this deadlift and I went down to pick it up and I literally could not get it off the ground. It was like it was stuck, completely stuck. And I'm straining. No, mate. I said, Matty, I can't get that off. No, I can't lift that. He said, mate, just get it away for a second. Let me have a look. And he bends down. He's obviously stronger than me, right? He bends down and he goes, no, it's not stuck. No, it moves. It moves. I said, get out of the way. Give me another go. I went down and I picked it up, right? So we need to surround ourselves with people that show us that it can be done. Yeah. So that's part of that immersion. I think that's key. Connected with purpose, have real clarity around, why you're doing it. Take it personally. Connect yourself with the outcome and immerse yourself in whatever it is you're pursuing. Those are my top 3.
Yeah, cool. I think going back to that, I think in that first point that you covered is very much about, I guess, the majority of people focus on Western philosophy, which is do the thing to have the result and you'll be the person that you need to be. Whereas if we look at Eastern philosophy, it's who do I need to be to do the thing to have the results? And it just consistently flips that frame of reference. And everyone's just focusing on, all right, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to be able to get that outcome? Let's reverse engineer the process, but they don't focus on their state of being, when states of where a human being, not a human doing. So if we can create that level of, I guess, who is the person that I need to be to get a result that I'm looking at achieving, and aligning that with your purpose and having those things perfectly lined up so that we can then basically be pulled forward rather than trying to push things all the time to be able to get a certain result that we're looking for. Do you find that as well?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You said that so well, that it is all about who you be drives what you do. That's why purpose drives your plans, drives your personality, the kind of person you need to be to then become productive. You're right. So many people, and you would find it, they say, man, what do I need to do? Tell me, how do I grow my business? What do I do? And you go, no. We don't do. What we're going to work on is, first of all, who you need to be, the kind of character, the kind of ethos you, your company, your organization needs to have. So that is so important. Although I'll say this, right? Sometimes we'll have that conversation with a client and I'll say, right, let's say we're talking about relationships. And I'll say, if you were to have that ideal relationship, what would be some of the things you might do? We would have a conversation. So we might say like date night, right? So we give them the task to do date night, but the conversation is then, so if you're going to do date night, well, who do you need to be to do date night? Oh, I need to be organized. I need to plan. I need to be romantic. I need to be thoughtful. I need to be creative. I need to be cheeky. These are the states they need. So we'll go and do that thing and start trying to experience those states. What's it like to actually do date night? Because sometimes we find people do a lot of cogitating. They read the book. I don't know whether you saw the movie The Secret or read the book The Secret, right? So many people thought the secret was this, right? Black Porsche, black Porsche, black Porsche, black Porsche, black Porsche. No. It doesn't work, right? You've got to get off your ass, earn money, take the money down to the dealer and buy the freaking Porsche.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't do the intention stuff. I'm not saying don't do the chanting and all that sort of stuff, but you've got to get off your ass and actually do something. So for some clients, we actually have them start doing the thing with intention. We champion them. We give them some accountability so they get to experience who they need to be to do the thing. Yeah. Recently, I've got a client who wants to become a personal trainer. And we have really mucked around quite a bit getting him to start doing the course with, I've got to be honest, very little success. Until the other day, I said, mate, that's it, no more. So we drew up a chart like one of those, those thermometer charts. And I said, every day you've got to do one of the modules. But what we're going to do is we're going to get in your car right now. We're going to drive down to the gym that you train at. We're going to put that board up at the gym. And we are going to invite everybody to attach their name to each of those modules. And every time you don't do one of those modules, they suffer some accountability. Because there was just no movement happening, right? This has started movement. We're now 4 days in, 4 modules done. And now he's getting to experience who he needs to be to get through the course. He needs to be organised. He needs to work hard. He needs to get his priorities sorted out. So sometimes I think we do need to actually start some action, start some do, to fully experience who we need to be.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's very much just going through the process, because if you're like, all right, I need to talk into existence the things that I want, the black Porsche, but if there's no follow through of the steps that are required from that, then there's just a breakdown of integrity in ourselves, in our head. And we're like, oh, well, I talked this into existence. However, it didn't come. Well, it's not that it didn't come, it's that you didn't follow through in that process of doing the actions from that point. So generally what I'll do with the process is determining what the outcome that people are looking at having, determining the person they need to be, then start the actions, and then reinforcing that relationship between the actions and that state of being so they consistently move forward. Because if you leave out one step, like with the secret, everyone left out the step of actualizing the work required to be able to do that. Let's just think about the black Porsche rather than, all right, let's go through a process to determine what we want, the state of being that I would need to be able to do it, and then reinforce that process and the relationship of what we need to do and the state of being that is required for that to be able to move forward. Do you see that as well?
100%. Exactly. Full on. And I think the other distinction I think too is who you need to be in your business is a different person to who you need to be when you're with your wife. It's a different person when you're with your kids. It's a different person when you're training at the gym. Because people often say, no, I just want to be me. And I go, well, you can be anyone who you want to be. Being is something that you decide. And who you need to be with me right now in the room getting coached is different to who you'll need to be when you're at home with your wife. We get to determine in an instant who we be. I often talk about 3 states of being. Who do you need to be for you? Just when you're you, sitting at home or in the office by yourself or wherever it is by yourself. Who do you need to be for you? Who do you need to be for others? And who do you need to be for success? And if you look back at the times you've been successful, there's probably 3 or 4 key character traits that you adopted to be successful. Just focus on those 3. Whenever you've got a task at hand that you need to achieve, just bring those 3 states into existence, those 3 character traits. But they are different to the ones for something else when you're interacting with someone, or they're different to the ones that you need to be for yourself. It's a bit like when you drive down the road and you've got the dashboard on your car. You don't just drive, you're constantly glancing down at the dash, checking in to seeing how the car is being. Is it being too fast? Is it being too many revs? Is it being too hot? You're checking constantly on who the car is being on the trip. That's all we're asking people to do is start the trip and constantly check in on your dash. Who are you being? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the driving analogy is the best one of that, because we can look at the dash, we can look at the rear view mirror, but when we get stuck focusing on those things, then it takes us away from the thing that we're moving towards. And the majority of people that I see, they're like, all right, I'm going to look in the rear view mirror, which is the past, that is something that is holding me back. And a lot of people that I see in either a shame or a guilt cycle, they're focusing on that thing that they didn't do or the person they were in the past, comparative to the road ahead to be able to drive forward and move towards those things. And looking at the dashboard is exactly the same thing. It's data to be able to say, all right, this is data of what's going on that indicates where we're going in the future, but there's also an indication of what we have just been through to be able to do that. And if we consistently look down or look in that rear view mirror, that limits us moving forward. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, spot on.
So there we go, guys. Absolutely phenomenal first part to this episode. I'm really looking forward to sharing with you part 2, so be sure to get straight into that. It is absolutely phenomenal. The light bulb moments continue to be shared, and the distinctions specific around the language that Ben has shared with us have been awesome so far, and they're going to only get better in the second part, so be sure to get into that right now. There we go, guys. There's today's episode. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to pursue your own peak performance by listening to this podcast. I truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to give back to the podcast, the best way to be able to do this is to be able to share any of these episodes with your friends, family, or co-workers. Alternatively, you can leave us a comment or a 5-star review, as these mean the world to us. Be sure to check out our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/pursuers of peak performance, to join the conversation and get access to all of the episodes before they come out on the other platforms. Thanks again for listening, guys. Catch you in the next episode.